Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here with my new video in Salesforce integration, and the topic for this video is that how do we access the Apex web services using SOAP. So you might have gone through my previous videos in Salesforce integration with SOAP API, and there I have explained that how can we make a SOAP request using Postman onto Salesforce, and we saw that how do we perform an operation, how do we perform DML operations, how do we request for the session ID and server URL, how to make a request, how to add a new record in an object, how to fetch the record from an object, how do we update record, how to delete record, all those operations we discussed in, I've explained in my, I demonstrated in my previous videos. So in today's video, I'll be going to show you how do we invoke an Apex web service class using SOAP with the help of Postman. So before we begin, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel if you haven't done so far, so that you will not miss the latest updates or more updates about other topics in Salesforce and in other technologies. So let's begin. So before we begin the actual implementation, you need to have a Salesforce developers account, and also you need to register for a Postman account. So in my case, I got both the things. Here is my Postman account, which I have already signed in into my Postman account. And here is my developers account. And in this developer account, what I have done, I have created one Apex class. So how do we create an Apex web service class in Salesforce? So, so what you have to do, you have to create one Apex class and declare that Apex class as a global. And in this Apex class, I have declared two functions. So the first function is will help us to fetch the record based on a specific account ID. And the second function will help us to add a new record into an object. So two functions I have added. And you can see the first function will be returning an account because we are going to return a complete record. And in the second function, the return type will be string because we are going to return only one message, that is called account added successfully with the ID. So these are the two functions I added in my Apex class, and this class will act as a web service class. This class will act as a SOAP web service class, the Apex web service class. Step number one, we have to implement and class. Step number two. Step number two, it's time to test it through the Postman. So from the Postman, the very first step is we need to select the session ID, and I need to wait for I need to collect the session ID. And in order to get the session ID and the server URL, this is the code we are going to pass. This I've done in my previous videos also. So I'll just make a new request. Method will be post and the URL. So the URL which I'm going to pass here, that URL will be, so we are going to pass a URL http login.salesforce.com and so 49.0. We'll make some changes in the header. I'll set the content type as text/XML, because from the SOAP we can always make the request using XML, and there would be one SOAP action. One second, content type and text/XML. Second is SOAP action deploy. Content type. So as you can see, we added here content type, and so I just add here content type and SOAP action. So the content type is set as TextML and the SOAP action is set as deployed. This is the header. Now I switch to body, and in body I just change it to raw. The type we have to change here, the language type I'll just set to XML. The reason we change this to XML, switch to XML, because here the content type is XML. So the request we are going to make, that request will always be in XML format. and then we'll make a request by using this is the code. This is the XML code, and this XML code contains the username and the password. So you have to pass your username, password along with the security token. And once we make a request to Salesforce, if the request is okay, as you can see, I got a confirmation message that 200 okay means the request has processed successfully. And in this, we used to have the server URL and session ID. So let me copy paste this server URL and session ID here. So this server URL and session ID will be going to use for further request, to make further request. Now let's have a look. How do we make a SOAP request in order to access an Apex class to retrieve a particular record, to get a particular account record? So the first of all, the method will be post. What will be the URL? So the URL will be here. The URL is, let me just increase the size. Here the URL is HTTPS. Here the URL is HTTPS till services SOAP. So here I just pass my URL called, I just pass a URL called SOAP. Then /class, and here we have to specify the Apex class name, and my class name is SOAP Apex Service Class. Then I'll get back to header, and again in header I just write content type. Content type will be same as text/XML, and SOAP action. This time the SOAP action will be blank. We'll switch to body raw, and I'll just change this to XML. Now, what code are we going to pass here? So the code we are going to request, basically the code we are going to make a request in order to retrieve a particular record. So here is my code, and in this code, I just write. See, I've made some changes. First of all, whenever you copy this code, we have to add this line statement. It is mandatory. And what's that? You need to forcefully add this. And what this contains? This contains the HTTP SOAP S4 slash you can say schema/class/SOAP Apex service class. This statement need to be added. If you don't provide this statement, let's suppose if I'm not providing this statement and when I try to make a request, it will throw an error message. See, we are retrieving an error. No operation, SOAP client, no operation available for request. So therefore, it is mandatory to make a request for this one, SOAP Apex Web Service. Then here we have to pass the session ID, and this session ID we have retrieved from here. So the same session ID we have to pass. So I copy this session ID and replace this one, the one I did. This I replaced with my current one, which I retrieved. So let me retrieve these. Let me remove the session ID and replace with the current one, session ID. And in this session, after session ID, we have a session header. Then we have to call a function, the function get account, because the function name is get account. Make sure it's a case sensitive and make sure we call the same function. So the function name is get account. I pass get account function, open and closing tag, and the parameter is account ID, and the parameter also in the same sequence, and it should be ACC ID. And this ACD ID I pass, and this is the account ID I pass. This account ID I retrieve from an object, from a record, United Oil and Gas Corporation. I copy this account ID and pass here. So basically, I want to fetch the record for this particular account. And when we call this function, this get account function, we pass the account ID, and it is going to return in response. It will return name, phone, type, industry from account based on the ID. Let's test it. So when I click on send, you can see the response is 200 okay. That means the request processed successfully, and we have retrieve a response. And in response, we'll be getting ID, industry, name, phone, and type. And that's what we have requested. That's the way we can perform a get operation in order to retrieve record. Now, if I want to add a new record, so for that, the function is add account. We have to make some changes in the code. The first half will remain same. The URL will remain same. The header will remain same. Body will remain same. Only in body, we have to replace this code. Instead of get account, the function name is add account. So I'll just add that function, add account function. And in this function takes this function takes two parameters, a name and a phone. So the parameters also should be same, a name and a phone. It's up to you what parameter you want to give. That's your choice. I give a name and a phone, and here we have to pass the values. So let me do one thing. Let's test it. Okay. I'll just write here. So web service account, and the phone number I pass here is something like this. And when I when I request this, you can see status pointed okay, response, and in response, it will display account added successfully with the ID. This is the ID for the newly added record, newly added account. We can refresh and we can see account added successfully here. I'll say new this week, and the account name is SOAP Web Service Account, and the ID is 001 XOIAM. It's exactly same. So that's the way we can perform the SOAP operation. We can perform the SOAP operations on Salesforce using web service, and we made this request using Postman. That's all in this video. If you like this video, don't forget to press the hit like button. Also, don't miss if you don't want to miss any the new videos. Don't forget to press the bell icon and do subscribe my YouTube channel. If you have any requirement on customized training on Salesforce or any support, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to me on the given numbers, or you can drop an email on this email ID. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.